Hello everyone, and in this video I'm going to be walking through how I converted a gas water heater to an electric water heater. And this is a hybrid heat pump water heater, which means there's an electrical heating element as well as a heat pump to actually generate heat from the liquid. And so right off the bat, there are some big differences between the gas water heater and the heat pump water heater that you'll need to make note of if you're planning to do this conversion yourself. And so the very first one is obviously there's no gas line for a heat pump water heater. Instead we have conduit, which is this guy right here. So this is 3/4 EMT that I piped from a sub panel over there that comes up and terminates in this junction box. And then I have a 1/2 inch flexible PVC that takes my wiring from the J box into the actual power for this unit right here. You don't have that with the gas, obviously you just have a gas line. The power requirement for this particular unit, and you should always consult the manufacturer's documentation, but in my case, this required a 30 amp 2-pole circuit. So it's a dedicated circuit on my sub panel and it's drawing 30 amps of power. And so I used 8 AWG wires. So there's 2 hots. So there's a red and a black hot wire. There's no neutral, but there is a ground. Your ground has to be 10 AWG. But again, that'll depend on what size circuit you need for this particular setup. So that's the first thing you'll need to put in if you plan to do a gas to electric conversion. The other thing that you're going to need that you probably don't have with a gas water heater is a condensate line. So in this case, I have 3/4 PVC that goes out to a T, and then from the T it goes down and out the house. That's because as your heat pump is running, it's literally a reverse refrigerator. So this part inside gets very cold, it generates liquid. That liquid has to go somewhere and you don't want it cooling up in your garage or it's going to rot the framing. So in my case, I had to go and discharge outside of my house at a safe distance. And all this is going to be determined by your building department, your authority having jurisdiction. But that is something else that you're going to want to have in this case. Now, both of these units have these copper lines. These are called your pressure temperature valves. And the point of these is to relieve high pressure inside the tanks when there's too much pressure inside, so these things don't blow up, because when they blow up, they're very big explosions. So you definitely don't want that. You also don't want to use anything other than copper, because the temperature that the water comes out of can potentially be as hot as 210 degrees Fahrenheit, and Schedule 40 PVC is only rated to 140. So if I was to use PVC here, it wouldn't work because it's just not up to spec for the types of temperatures that potentially are going to be inside of the liquid in this pipe. Now, both of these do have drain pans. I checked with my building department. I actually don't need to have drain pans underneath this, but manufacturers often recommend it, and it's just a safety precaution. In case there ever is like an internal leak in the tank, you want to have something that is obvious to spot below it to also contain that liquid, and that's about it. I live in California, and so we are required to have seismic straps for these things, and they're pretty simple to put on. They're about 20 bucks, so really not too much to worry about. If you do a install that's in a corner like this, it's going to vary a little bit because the straps bolt onto the studs on the sides. But in my case, because I moved this thing, because I don't have to worry about an exhaust pipe. So there used to be an exhaust right here going down for exhausting the flue gases from this gas unit. But in my case, because the only thing I have to worry about is a condensate drip line, it makes putting a hybrid heat pump water heater a lot simpler. So that was something else that was important. But literally the first steps I took was I wanted to not lose hot water, so I kept this thing running until I had this thing basically all plumbed in and piped. So the only thing I had to do was actually just connect up the new water lines in my case, but that's something else. And then the other thing to note here is with your insulation, by Title 24 of the California Building Code, I need to have a bunch of pipe insulation, which may sound inconvenient, but honestly it's not, because at the end of the day it's saving the homeowner money, because you want to insulate both your hot and your cold line going in and out of the water heater, because even your cold line will get hot and it's just losing heat from inside this unit. and over the course of several years, you'll save hundreds of bucks just making sure you're insulating stuff. So that's important as well. So in my case, for my flexible lines, I used fiberglass wrap. You do want to make sure you're wearing long sleeves and gloves when you handle that stuff, and just try to blow as much off as you can, because that will irritate your skin. But in my case, I wrapped it, and I have foam on the straighter sections of pipes that come in and out of this thing. And then also for the building requirement for me to pass inspection, I do need to have this thing called an expansion tank. So in my case, for a 65-gallon water heater and a street pressure from my city of 60 psi, 4.5 gallons is how much I need. If you had a smaller tank and lower street pressure, you could maybe get away with a smaller tank, but you do want to look it up. Those are tabulated values. So in my case, I have strapping as well, because if these things do fill up with water, which is their intention, you do want to have it properly supported. So in my case, I have 3/4 copper pipe, and it's nowhere near strong enough to support 4.5 gallons of water pushing down on it. So really important that you also get a strapping or a mounting mechanism for it. These metal things that really hold it in place. So this thing is already self-sufficient, screwed into the wood behind it. And then the other thing I did here is, in my case, I have these, I just literally ripped a 2x4 straight in half, so I have little standoffs for my pipe straps, but that also creates a little gap underneath so that I could get my insulation to go around it. Because if you were to put your copper pipe or PEX or whatever directly onto the wall, you're gonna have a really hard time actually insulating any of it. So really important to just make sure that you're giving yourself a little bit extra room behind it to actually install these things. So honestly, it wasn't too bad of an install. This tank was super heavy, so we did use some team lift straps. My wife's probably helped me out with that one. We were basically able to just get it onto the pedestal. You don't need a pedestal, but in my case, I wanted to have one just so that had a little bit of space underneath. The only reason why gas tank water heaters needed pedestals in the first place was because if the gasoline vapors from cars parked in a garage came, it could spark them, because this thing has a little igniter pilot light in it. So that's why these had to be kept a minimum of, I believe, 18 inches off the ground. But you don't have to worry about that with these. But in my case, the concrete had a little lip on it at the bottom too, so I had to make a tiny pedestal for it. The piece of wood that's on the ground is pressure treated, because if it gets wet, you want a wood that can actually handle that and not rot. But I literally just framed it out of 2x4s, and I have a door stop here as well, so that when the door opens, it won't smash into my condensate line or my PT line. So yeah, honestly, from a high level, it looks complicated, but I really don't think it's all that much more complicated than the gas water heater. Probably the most expensive thing is going to be piping in new conduit, because you probably don't have a 30 amp circuit nearby. It has to be dedicated for it. So honestly, hopefully we can find a nice electrician who plan on doing this. But really, the main difference is you're just using electricity instead of gas, and you're going to need to have a condensate line of some kind. If you were in a house and you needed to find a place to discharge your condensate line, a better place, if you're not like directly next to an exterior wall, is going to be something like a drain for a sink or something. You're allowed to discharge your condensate into the drain for your house, because it's honestly not much water, and it's also very pure water. Or you could even use it to water plants and stuff. But yep, so that's it. And yeah, I hope this is helpful stuff. Really glad that now I'm able to cut this gas line, and I have no more gas appliances in this house, so we're fully electric, especially before the tax code changes next year. So yeah, hope this helps. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know if you have any questions, and take it easy.